Welcome to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex and today we're taking a look at Rune Factory 5 on the Nintendo Switch. Now today's video it is sponsored by Marvelous and Xseed, so a huge thanks to them from me, it means a whole lot. They've asked me though today to give you a rundown of the experience, how it plays and generally kind of look into all of the different mechanics. So with that, hit subscribe, join us here on SwitchCorner for reviews and deals near daily, and let's get started. Rune Factory then started back in 2006 for those that do not know. It's a spin-off from Astoria Seasons, formerly Harvest Moon, and it introduced and found success with its combination of slice of life gameplay in conjunction then with dungeon crawling and action RPG elements. This sequel then has been a long time coming, with the original release of 4 releasing way back in 2012. Yes, we got Rune Factory 4 Special in 2019 for the Switch, but this is the release everyone has wanted. Opening the game, we find ourselves awakening in a forest. It appears we passed out, but we are woken by a young girl screaming. She is under attack. Quick to react, we jump to our feet and save her in battle. This acts as a tutorial to the game's combat, but it also confirms a couple of the unknowns. Think we can choose a name, opt for a male or female character, and quickly uncover we are suffering from a bout of amnesia. Naturally, in this moment, we are the hero, and she kindly escorts us back to her home. It's a local town, it's known as Rigbath. This town, though, it's filled with different personalities, but at its heart is an organisation known as SEED. SEED is a peacekeeping organisation that not only oversees and assists the people of this town, but investigates mysterious events occurring around this world. You basically, though, become the latest recruit, a ranger. In a nutshell though, the story can be summed up as the stability of this kingdom is threatened, and overcoming that threat will very quickly become your responsibility. Being a Rune Factory then for story, it's a game designed around giving you freedom in how you play, so it packs a huge amount of side activities and smaller story arcs. That includes things like more action focused, helping the town and locals, farming, catching wanted monsters, even completing tasks for friendship and romance. Between the complementing storylines and slice of life gameplay, many should find something that's going to fit their gaming style, and that's always been the beauty of the series. Quests come here in a number of forms, so think the main quest line requests an offence. The main quest will mostly be delivered by Livia. She is the captain of this outpost. It starts as simple but quickly escalates. This is where we get into the more dangerous locations, and it for sure comes with a ton of intrigue as you uncover new dungeon locations. Requests then are essentially side quests. They can be picked up from a number of locations, but my go-to, it was the notice boards. These can be a little bit more unique in their setup and themes. Think item delivery to monsters to tame, to simply some sort of farming challenge. It acts as a nice introduction though to many of the in-game activities. Alongside these then you can also expect romantic quests. These are identified by hearts around characters on the world map. Go to them, typically an event plays out, and then you're faced with some sort of challenge. Let's say though you just want to stick to the main questline, that is absolutely fine. You can jump into the main menu. Here it will break it down for you. Alternatively, the game uses a massive red exclamation mark on the world map, and that will tell you where to head next to push that main story forwards. Farming then of course will be what many are coming to Rune Factory for, and it's nice to have some downtime I guess during our adventures. Opening the game we get a small patch of land behind the headquarters and a basic toolkit to get going. It throws you in quick to clear the location of weeds and sticks, and it's time to plant. Early tools here though include a cheap hoe to ready the land and a watering can to assist in that growth. We'll also naturally get some basic seeds as well. These opening moments though teach you nearly everything you will need to know about farming, whether that's the tools at hand, how to use them, and how seasons impact success. The loop though, grow crops, harvest them, and either keep or sell them for reward. It's absolutely addicting. Selling your crops is easy though, place them in a handy truck at the edge of your land and every day at 8 AM they are collected and processed. With progression then expect more tools, a sickle which cuts grass and plants but provides better seeds in return, a hammer to bash away at rocks that are blocking your way, an axe for the tree stumps, and then a fishing pole when you want to basically catch that food instead of grow it. There's for sure reward though in seeing your hard work pay off and creating a fruitful operation. It's never too far out of reach even in the opening moments. Gaining seeds as well kind of just pushed my curiosity forward, and you'll find these seeds everywhere from treasure chests around the map to enemies, or maybe they'll simply be gifted to you by friends. If you want a more unique landscape to farm as well, early in the game you'll befriend a dragon with a patch of land on their back that you can climb up to. Exploration then was perhaps my favourite part of the experience. I wouldn't call it a huge world, but it's packed with a sizable cast of characters to befriend, and I was always curious to see what was happening around town. Each of these characters, they move as well, they have jobs and tasks to attend to, so you'll often see them heading to different locations. The game works though on a 24-hour cycle as well, meaning sure you get up at 6 AM but maybe you need to head to the store. Well, you'll need to wait now until it opens at 9 AM. It leads to a little bit of time and day management over anything else, but I started to get a schedule together. 6 till 8 would be farming time and collecting up my goods before I went on with the rest of my activities. Throughout this world then there's a number of points of interest. Think here a selection of different stores which both allow you to further your character's progression but also simply pick up items. Think here a general store, a doctor's, a baths for health recovery, and then locations like a park and festival grounds. No 2 days are the same and we'll often see festivals occurring to celebrate the time of year we are facing, which I always enjoyed seeing. Throughout this world then, as we open up the game, some locations they will be blocked, but we will quickly uncover dungeons, and that's kind of where the combat of course comes in. They are relatively simplistic, but some environmental puzzles and a creative cast of opponents definitely make them enjoyable. You also gain the ability to warp to locations around the map, so fast travel that is always appreciated and it is featured here. Finally, at those dungeons, do expect some sizable boss encounters. So I just mentioned dungeons and combat then, that is the action portion of the game, and you will get here direct control over character movement and attacks. The initial combat is simply the B button to swing the weapon in hand, but before you know it you'll have options for the X and Y button as well. These are heavier attacks or even more magical like, and they can be adapted and swapped in and out, meaning you can very much shape how your character plays. The combat here then though very much takes place in the real world, meaning there's no loading screens, there's no random battles, you can always see an enemy ahead of you. They do tend to kind of materialize in front of you, but it absolutely makes sense in the game's world. If you don't want to face that battle, just keep on running, you can absolutely do that as well. Typically you're going to be running though for one or two reasons. Your health bar is near depleted, or your rune points, they are basically empty as well. This is impacted though by any activity, so think crafting or using magic as just two quick examples. Run out of either though, and it's going to be basically you faint and you'll awake back at the doctor's office. All in then, the game packs 7 different weapon types: short sword, which we open the game with, long sword, fists, spears, axes, staves and dual blades. Each weapon type has their time and place. Fists is kind of a particularly satisfying option for me. It basically gives you the opportunity to throw your enemies, which is always a great thing to see. In these moments though, we can pound, swing and slam our foes. Each battle then in game levels us up, and this means damage increases, we unlock new abilities, we can combo, we can charge attacks, and finally we get spell seal as well. We even get the option to, as we befriend locals, take them on these adventures and deliver link attacks for those lethal kind of final blows. Spell seal then is the act of befriending or capturing monsters. Befriending means simply they will join you in battle for the remainder of the day, and you can work with a party of up to 4. That 4 can be made up of friends and monsters to that cap. The more unique element though, it's actually capturing these monsters so you can use them at all times. To do this first though, you will need to build up what's called a monster barn to house them. Think in this location though, giving them items, brushing them. A brush is a tool you'll get later in the game. These barns though, located aboard the dragon farm, and they can even help you around the farm as well. You know, you can set them to do activities. That is a particularly useful feature for those that maybe don't want to focus their attention on the farming and they'd rather focus on the action orientated side of the gameplay. Rune Factory 5 then, like prior entries, works on a yearly and daily system. It means we get a meter that shows us energy, and we will need to rest consistently to avoid passing out. Each day can bring not only new missions and activities then, but also variety in the weather. Rain is always good, for example. It means you don't need to water your crops that day, and you simply let nature do its thing. The most interesting thing for me though, it was the festivals. In game you quickly earn the right to kind of manage when these occur and what ones will actually hit the town, and it was just kind of a nice break on the typical gameplay formula. Think cooking competitions or a seed game that turn things almost into a simplistic shooter experience, except think you actually need to hit the bullets coming towards you, not avoid them. You'll be able to unlock these events though and kind of schedule out your different festivals with seed points. These are awarded for mission completions. All of this combat, this exploration then would mean nothing without your inventory, and here we can store and equip our lead and team. This is best summarized as clothing, weapons and shield. You can even equip party members by gifting them items, but this comes at a cost in the sense they will not return the items at the end of the quest. Equipment though will play a big part in your exploration, given the fact the challenge of the game slowly increases with progression. Outside of the main menu equipment screen then, we also get quick access with the tap of the triggers. This menu basically it allows quick use. Think weapons, farming tools, even other items. Think health and maybe delivering produce for sale or to maybe further that romantic status. It's a pretty sizable inventory screen as well, but eventually storage at home will come into play as well because you will end up carrying a whole lot of things. Getting items in a few ways. You can craft around the world, you can visit stores, or you may simply find it on your travels. Think treasure chests or destructible crates. My favourite inventory item by far though, it's the runes. These can be attached to X or Y as discussed in combat, and they will provide you new abilities. You can unlock more by completing missions and capturing wanted monsters. I just like this option because it shapes our character throughout the adventure consistently. I'm always able to try something new. You'll also quickly recognise different locations. They are home to different resources. So there's for sure that sense of, gathering items frequently just so you can further your character or maybe the equipment you have. Otherwise though, make life easy and drop some cash when you go shopping. A big part of the crafting and just kind of getting the resources you need, it will be in the game's system called licenses. This is essentially becoming skilled at a trade. A few early examples: a forging license and a crafting license. The crafting license gives you access to a craft table, while the forging it gives you abilities with a forge. It's by far the cheapest approach in game. You will also be able to buy recipe cards which teach you new items to craft, and you can even decorate your home with items. One area then that makes Rune Factory 5 so addictive is thanks to the RPG side of the gameplay, and specifically leveling up our character. In game then we get a handy little menu which breaks down the different skills and their current level. Think that's going to be from farming to exploration to combat with each weapon, or even something as trivial as sleeping. Rune Factory 5 will constantly be popping on screen though with level up, and it just makes you want to keep on looking at this menu. New level achieved. For me, I always have to keep a close eye on it, see where I perform best and how can I leverage that in the future. In game then, we will build friendships and potential relationships. Rune Factory 5 features 12 marriage candidates, and dialogue options basically allow you to express your love. For the same feeling to be returned, however, you will need to work on that relationship, whether that's maybe gifts or completing activities together. You can also then upset your partner, so do be careful of that. Do not miss a date or forget to talk to them one day. And following marriage, expect to be sharing your home and see the option to have children. This is also the first entry in series history to feature same-sex marriage, which is obviously just fantastic to see. The biggest change for Rune Factory 5 then perhaps is that new visual style. For the first time from my knowledge, we have gone what I would consider full 3D in a third person perspective, and it just gives a great sense of scale to the experience, to this world. When exploring the town, it's just impressive that they were able to implement this with very few load screens. The only time you'll really see a load screen is when you're transitioning in and out of a building. The compromiso characters will appear ahead of you, but it feels like it was implemented in a stylistic way over simply being, I guess, distant pop-up. Dungeons then, they provide a nice variety though, and the particular highlight early on, swinging blades and boulders heading towards you, is just quality, and it kind of really catches that sense of adventure. Overall they look really nicely done. I'm excited to see where the series now goes next with this kind of new perspective. I was particularly impressed visually then with the dungeons. Not only do we get variety in its traps, but just the combat looks great. It's full of, flashy animations that really demonstrate the power of our hero. The same thing can be said for the weapons as well. Yes, there's, particular classes in here, but they do a good job of differentiating each weapon one from the next. Music in Rune Factory 5 then, much like gameplay, generates a range of emotions and very much reflects the activity at hand. I just really enjoyed what they did here. In fact, it's one of the deciding factors in me ordering the collector's edition, which packs a 15-track CD, and we'll get into that shortly in the video. The game's range of activities though can just be so unique, it demands its own kind of soundscape, and that to me is where this one succeeds. In the farming moments, expect somewhat relaxed. In dungeons, an air of mystery and danger. Romance, of course, more melodic and serene. And then the festivals, the party has started. They achieve this though, and they manage to make it all blend together so it never feels like uncomfortable switches, I guess, in the tonality. That's always impressive, when you're faced with such a sizable experience. And honestly, the positives then don't stop there. Perhaps most impressively on an audio front, it's not the weapons, the combat, anything like that. There's just a huge amount of voice acting packed in here, and while it's not every single word, it's kind of a mix of keywords, full sentences, and sometimes it's shorter but embodies exactly what the dialogue text suggests. It brings this kind of selection of characters to life, adding personality to what I'd call a small but powerful cast. I'm not sure I would feel that way without the extra voice acting. So we do have a number of editions available then. I'll do this in US pricing, so do be aware of that. It will be your regional equivalent, but we get the standard digital release for $59.99, the digital deluxe edition for $69.99. This adds in cosmetics, and that's going to be 13 additional outfits for marriage candidates. Basically, you can dress them up as your favorite characters from Rune Factory 4. When it comes to the physical though, this is kind of where things get a little bit more exciting. You have the standard base game again, $59.99, but then the Earthmate edition. This includes a custom box, a steelbook case, a softcover art book, a soundtrack CD, and again then the 13 additional outfits. I own the special edition of Rune Factory 4, I picked up this one as well, and my understanding is now the 4th is actually pretty tough to come by, so if this is your thing, you may want to jump on it sooner rather than later. And that is kind of, I guess, our beginner's guide to Rune Factory 5. I'm excited to jump back in myself. I'll definitely be heading into the main quest line. Hopefully from here now though, we don't need to wait 10 years for the 6th mainline entry. I hope fans are impressed though and happy with the effort that's been put in here to make it feel very much like an expansion of what we've seen before. As always for me, it's that balance of elements that keeps me intrigued, farming and dialogue to chill, dungeons for when I want to crush some enemies. Between the flexibility of that gameplay though and the likeable cast, I think we are seeing a serious step forward, and I really hope it finds success. Will you be adding this one to the library then, or holding onto that cash? A shout out then to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.